The alien Dreadnought hung in the dark, a derelict leviathan with organic curves and dead bioluminescent veins. Inside the orbiting diplomatic station, Earth's leaders gathered to receive what the Council called a gift.
Here is a real warship. Try not to break it. I doubt your engineers have ever touched such craftsmanship.
We are honored by the Council's trust. Earth will treasure this gesture.
But the air was thick with unspoken insult. Forced smiles and bitter glares exchanged silently.
Treasure it? They handed us a carcass and called it a gift. This is not generosity. It's a test of how much we'll swallow.
The Vexral Moor had been decommissioned for decades, its organic alloys decaying, its weapons stripped.
They think we'll just patch it up and be grateful. They don't know what humans do with scrap. We don't just fix things, we improve them.
After the ceremony, Stephen Bauer was assigned as chief engineer. He stood before the viewport, staring at the Hulk, his jaw tight with a plan already forming.
They sold us a broken Dreadnought. We'll rebuild it into a nightmare, and I'll make sure every weld is a message.
The Vexral Moor arrived at Mars Yard 4, dwarfing gantries and workers alike. Bauer walked the catwalk, the 2-kilometer Dreadnought filling his vision like a dead god.
Elegant, yes, but bloated. Redundant conduits, inefficient power routing. They never had to fight a real war. No species that fights to survive would waste this much mass on aesthetics.
His fingers traced the cold organic alloy, feeling the faint pulse of residual energy like a dying heartbeat.
Bauer. The brass needs a repair budget estimate. Keep it tight. We are under the Council's spyglass.
Repair. This is a foundation. I am going to tear its heart out and replace it with something that actually works.
He held her gaze a moment longer, then turned back to the hull, dismissing the warning.
Play nice. They hand me a monster and tell me not to break it. They have no idea what I am about to forge.
Alone again, he pressed his palm flat against the cold hull. He would not repair it. He would hybridize alien flesh joined to human steel, creating a nightmare that could never be taken apart. Bauer needed a Xeno specialist. Dr. Elena Reyes was the best, sharp, unflappable, and already bored with the official repair briefs.
I am gutting it. Full hybrid. Human engines onto an alien skeleton. You read the alien logic. I'll break it.
They'll call it heresy. I am in.
Admiral Chen approved the project behind closed doors, his hologram flickering in the war room.
You have 6 months. If the Council smells this, I'll deny it all. Make it count.
Drones swarmed the alien command core, ripping out glowing conduits. Sparks showered the darkness as the ship's veins were severed.
Wait, there's a secondary feed. It's arming. Emergency lockdown just triggered. This console was rigged to blow.
They planted failsafes to murder anyone who tried to repair this. It was never alone. It was bait.
They isolated the surge, vented the overload, and killed the destruct sequence with seconds to spare.
They expected us to die here. Now this ship owes us its life, and I collect debts.
The alien command core, a crystalline mass of pulsing light, was unplugged and hoisted away. The ship went dark. In the silence, Bauer's crew installed the first human modular console. Blocky, gray bolted through organic tissue.
Bauer, the biological lattice is collapsing. Without the alien core, the ship's cellular structure is necrosing. We have hours.
We missed something. The ship isn't just tech, it's alive. We need to make the human parts feed the alien parts.
Reyes sketched a hybrid interface. Human computers spliced into alien nerve bundles, a digital symbiotic breath.
I can force a symbiosis, but the ship might reject it. We're threading a needle with a sledgehammer.
Thread it. Failure means we're no worse off than we already are.
They fused the first nerve bundle. The dying veins convulsed, then steadied. A low hum returned, a heartbeat of both worlds. Outside, drones welded the first human engine frame onto the alien skeleton. The seam smoked with cooling alloy.
That seam is our signature. If they ever try to take this ship back, they'll choke on it.
The seam was raw and visible, a deliberate scar running the ship's length, refusing to hide, refusing to hide.
This weld stays ugly. No polishing. If they ever try to take the ship apart, they'll hit a seam they can't cleanly separate.
You want to leave a deliberate flaw? That could be a structural weakness.
It's not a flaw. It's a trap. A messy seam can't be reversed without destroying the whole section. If they demand the ship back, they'll get a nightmare they can't dissect.
Reyes stared at the seam, then gave a slow nod. The ugly weld was not a mistake. It was a weapon. The next day, Commander Vance arrived at the bay, her expression already tight as she scanned the hybrid hulk.
Bauer, the Council is asking questions. They want status reports and hull scans. They're getting suspicious.
Let them ask. By the time they see the ship, it'll be too late to recognize it. We're not repairing. We're rebirthing.
He gestured at the half-finished beast, its two natures already fusing in a cascade of alien purple and human orange.
This isn't their ship anymore. It's ours. And the seam is our declaration.
The conversion raced forward. But deep in the ship's lower decks, Dr. Reyes found a faint, pulsing signal.
It's embedded in the organic lattice, a passive recorder. It's been logging every modification. And now it's broadcasting.
They've been watching the whole time. How much got out?
Everything. The core removal, the hybrid interface, the seam. They know we're not repairing.
Bauer's jaw tightened. The Council's trap had a second jaw, and it just snapped shut.
Vance, we've got a live transmission inside the hull. The Council's been reading our mail.
It's worse. A Council probe just entered Mars orbit. They're here to see firsthand. You have maybe 48 hours.
After the call, Bauer stood in the engine room, watching the hybrid thrusters glow, alien purple and human orange, but still untested.
48 hours. We can't finish, but we can make it look finished. We'll hide the human parts under a skin of lies. Reyes, we're going to dress this ship in a disguise. Make it look like the original, at least long enough to fool an inspection.
Just hours later, an official council broadcast overrode every channel in the shipyard.
The Vexral Moor was never a gift. It was a loan. You will return it immediately, or the Council will consider this an act of aggression.
A loan? Of course. The trap was always meant to snap back. They expect us to hand over the wreck.
We should stall. Tell them repairs are incomplete. Buy time.
Number. We're returning it, but not as the wreck they expect. We'll give them back a monster that wears their own skin.
Admiral Chen's hologram flickered into the room, summoned by the escalating argument.
Finish the hybrid, disguise it, then return their trap with a bow on it. Earth Command will deny everything if it fails.
Vance hesitated, then gave a grim nod. The lie was official. Now they had 2 days to dress a nightmare.
Reyes, forget perfection. We need the disguise to hold for one inspection. Then it's their problem. Start slapping temporary panels on everything.
The shipyard erupted into a frenzy. Workers bolted fake alien plates over the human frame, every weld a lie. Workers swarmed the hull, snapping curved purple plates over the human angular sections, hiding the hybrid's true nature.
Fake interface is running. To a casual scan, it reads as a fully functional Vexral Moor command system.
But the illusion was paper-thin. A deep probe would crash the entire display in seconds.
Kill the orange band. Every emission must read as original. They can't suspect a hybrid.
The engines sputtered, then stabilized into a pure alien purple. No trace of human fire left. Fake maintenance logs were uploaded, detailing a past battle that explained the ugly seam as documented damage.
Will it pass? The Council knows every original plate. One mismatch and they'll tear it apart.
They'll see what they expect. Their arrogance will hide our work. We hand them a ghost.
By the end of the second day, the Vexral Moor looked original, a sleeping beast in its old skin, pulsing with feigned life.
One inspection. One look. Then it's their problem forever.
Envoy Tyrannus's ornate shuttle docked at the shipyard, its silver hull out of place among the industrial gantries. He stepped aboard the Dreadnought with 2 guards, his gaze already cataloging every surface for deviation. His four-fingered hand found the seam, a raised scar of mismatched alloys that no alien repair would ever leave.
This section is uneven. The records show no authorized repair of this magnitude. Explain.
The hull was damaged during decommissioning. Earth only stabilized what was already failing. The patch is cosmetic.
A fake diagnostic screen flickered to life, cycling through alien status reports as if the ship were whole.
The systems read operational. Very well, but I will be inspecting the data logs personally.
He withdrew his hand from the seam as if it burned him, the gesture more telling than any word. With visible disdain, Tyrannus signed the transfer document and ordered the ship prepared for tow without another word.
Take it. You'll spend a decade trying to understand what we've done, and you'll fail. Every time.
The Council's tractor beams locked onto the disguised Dreadnought, pulling it away from Mars like a captured prize.
We actually did it. He touched the seam and still signed.
He touched it and flinched. But it's going to be a cold day when he tries to start it up.
We're not out of this. The second they try to power the hybrid systems, that ship is going to turn into a brick, and they'll know we lied.
The laughter faded. The room filled with the quiet knowledge that the real crisis was still coming.
The Vexral Moor is operational. However, I sensed irregularities. Earth's repairs were unconventional.
He paused, unable to identify the unease gnawing at him. No proof of treachery, but something about that ship felt wrong. Alone in his cabin, Tyrannus stared at the hull scans, a seam replaying in his mind. He had no proof, only the cold weight of doubt. Back on Earth, Bauer stood before the master schematic wall, seeing not one hybrid, but a future fleet of dozens, each capturable and convertible.
They'll figure it out, but by then, we'll have a fleet they can't comprehend.
3 days after the tow, the Council ordered reactivation. The Vexral Moor was guided into a sterile, high-tech berth. Engineers in sterile robes surrounded the hull, attempting to bootstrap the main reactor with Council protocols. The command to initiate was sent. For a fleeting moment, the ship's veins glowed with feigned health. Then the hybrid core rejected the alien input. Every display dissolved into cascading error codes and dead screens. The engines cycled randomly, refusing to align. A low-frequency screech echoed through the bulkheads. Council engineers tried every bypass. Nothing. The ship was a digital cadaver, its nerves half ripped out and spliced with foreign tissue. Envoy Tyrannus was summoned to the chamber. He stared at the dead command station, the shame already curling his fists.
They didn't repair it. They defiled it. The Vexral Moor is a corpse wearing our skin.
The chamber fell silent. The loan they had demanded back was now a monument to their own arrogance. The Vexral Moor would never fire a shot again. It sat dead in the berth, a hollow testament to Earth's quiet, brutal answer. Council engineers assembled a high-energy lathe around the seam, determined to peel the human addition from the alien hull. The cutting field engaged, and the seam did not split. It melted into an alloy broth that cooled harder than before. Separating it was now impossible without vaporizing the entire section. The crude weld had become a molecular trap. The organic veins rejected every cultural probe. They had learned to breathe with human cells and would accept no other master. The lead scientist reported to a silent council. The Vexral Moor could not be repaired, refitted, or even fully studied. The order was given. Tow the corpse to the Galactic Museum of Stagnant Arms. Let it be a static exhibit. The Dreadnought entered the museum dock in silence. A dead god in a glass coffin, watched by alien school groups. The information plaque called it the Dreadnought that couldn't. Beneath the words, the ugly seam was left deliberately visible. Tyrannus watched from a private balcony, his fists white. The ship that was to humiliate Earth had become his people's shame. And in every school visit, every tour, the Council's greatest fear was realized. They had given humanity the blueprint for a new kind of war. 1,000 light years from the museum, Bauer and Reyes sat in a cluttered office, not morning. Cataloging.
Hybrids are unpredictable. Enemy sensors see alien hulls, but can't predict the human weapons firing from them.
And the seam. It makes every ship a unique puzzle. No automated logistics can read the mixed signatures.
The wall behind them was now covered in schematics. A dozen captured alien hulls, each mapped for human fusion. Admiral Chen summoned them to a formal briefing. Bauer stood before the brass. The merger doctrine laid bare.
Can we do this to any alien hull?
Any hull, any species. We gut the command core, splice our systems in, and weld the seam. The result is a nightmare they can't reverse.
Chen was silent for a long moment, then gave the smallest nod.
Then you have authorization. Start converting every captured alien warship we have, quietly.
A fleet of nightmares. Each one unique. Each one our answer to their arrogance.
Months later, a captured Hithrax raider was dragged into a shadow station near Neptune, its crew taken silently. Within days, its command core was extracted, its spine stretched with human conduits, and the weld began.
Same doctrine, different beast. It'll add to the fleet.
Then the Council broadcast arrived. Earth's tampering was contempt. They demanded reparations and threatened trade sanctions. The official statement accused Earth of malicious ineptitude and placed humanity on probation. Earth's diplomatic corps wasted no time. A formal apology was issued, blaming unfortunate and excessive repairs due to inexperience.
They can write sanctions all day. Every day they argue, we weld another nightmare. Double the retrofit schedule. I want 6 hulls undocking by next quarter.
In the yards, the conversion tempo tripled. Captured hulls became chimeric nightmares. Each seam a message sent in silence.
We're building a fleet they can't imagine, and they're too busy drafting insults to stop us.
A Council probe slipped through the outer orbits, its sensors fixed on a shadow station where a third captured vessel was being converted. The footage was leaked across every galactic network. Human engineers welding a crude seam onto an unwilling alien frame. The broadcast played on repeat. The seam, the deliberate scar, was now visible to trillions.
This is not repair. This is desecration. Humanity has violated the Accords with premeditated intent.
The Council issued an ultimatum: cease all hybrid construction, dismantle the existing ships, or face military action. Earth's networks went silent. No denial, no apology, no counterstatement. For 48 hours, the galaxy held its breath. Diplomats waited. Warships took defensive positions.
They should have responded by now, unless they have something to hide, or worse, something to show.
The 48-hour deadline passed. Earth's silence became its own statement. A refusal to bow, a promise of something unseen. On the edge of the solar system, 6 hybrid Dreadnoughts finished their final calibration. The Special Earth Council Assembly convened, holograms of 6 hybrid Dreadnoughts rotating above the central table.
6 warships, each a different devil. Simulations show they outmaneuver standard Council Dreadnoughts by 23%.
More importantly, they cannot be analyzed by Council tactical systems. The seams confuse every IFF signature.
Bauer manipulated the holograms, pulling apart layers to show the messy welds as deliberate tactical chaff. The assembly murmured. Old generals exchanged glances. The same seam once called crude was now their greatest weapon.
We recommend refusal of the ultimatum. Earth will not dismantle what it has built.
A silent vote. One by one, the delegates' tablets lit green. Not a single red.
They handed us insult. We built an answer. Now they have to swallow it.
The response was drafted. Earth rejected the Council's terms and would stand by its sovereign right to arm. The channel opened to the fleet. 6 hybrid Dreadnoughts lit engines, their purple-orange glow a defiant fire against the black. The Council dispatched a military embargo fleet, 12 heavy cruisers, to enforce the ultimatum. Before they reached Mars, 3 hybrid Dreadnoughts dropped out of jump directly in their path. Council sensors flooded with errors. Hull materials registered alien, but internal signatures were a scrambled maelstrom. On the Council flagship, tactical officers stared at data that contradicted every known ship profile. The Council commander broadcast a final warning. Earth vessels, power down. Non-compliance will be met with force. The response came cold and uncoded. Negative. This is sovereign space. You are in violation. The three hybrids spread into a delta formation. Weapon banks cycling open, pulsing purple and orange. The Council commanders stared at the tactical plot. None of the threat profiles matched. Engaging an unknown fleet could be suicide. After a tense silence, the Council fleet executed a reverse burn. Retreating to a higher orbit, the hybrid dreadnoughts held position. The Council had come to intimidate and found themselves outmatched. In the wake of the retreat, Earth issued an invitation. Independent observers and neutral ambassadors arrived to tour the shipyards.
Welcome to the results of your insult. You gave us a carcass. We built a fleet.
Before them, a Corvash carrier flew past, its sleek alien lines brutally interrupted by human missile batteries bolted to its spine. A Hithrax destroyer followed, its slim frame bloated with oversized Earth reactors, the seam a glowing scar. Every ship bore the same crude weld, deliberate, unmissable. The Doctrine's signature turned into a symbol.
Every captured hull becomes another nightmare. The Council's refuse is our resource.
The tour broadcast live to every galactic network. Alien newscasters gesticulated at footage of the chimeric fleet. The earlier accusations of malicious ineptitude now replayed beside images of the dreadnoughts, turning derision into awe. Public opinion fractured. Some species condemned the defiance. Others began quiet overtures, recognizing a new power.
They wanted a broken ship as an insult. They gave us the blueprint for an empire.
The Council convened an emergency session. The museum Dreadnought was holographically displayed as a monument to their failure. Councilors shouted blame. Some called for immediate war. Others pointed at the hybrid fleet's mystery, a war they couldn't plan for. The lead scientist replayed the seam separation failure, the organic rejection. Earth had seeded chaos into their technology.
My career, my legacy, reduced to a single weld I failed to see.
Tyrannus submitted his resignation that hour. The Council accepted it without debate. In the final motion, the Council downgraded Earth's strategic threat level. Not out of trust, but the cold logic of deterrence. The Vexral Moor remained in the museum, now a tourist attraction. The plaque updated Origin of Human Hybrid Doctrine. Alone in his chambers, Tyrannus sat motionless, the weight of the galaxy's mockery pressing down.
They gave us a broken ship. We handed them the key to our undoing.
Outside, the hybrid fleet continued its silent patrol. A permanent reminder that humanity would never again be underestimated. 10 years later, from a Mars observation dome, Stephen Bauer watched 10 hybrid dreadnoughts lift from the yards in perfect formation.
You know they're calling it the Bauer Doctrine now. Not a bad legacy for a man with oil stains.
It was never about a legacy. It was about making sure they'd never think we were weak enough to swallow their scraps.
They stood in silence. 2 engineers who had turned a corpse into a fleet. Outside, the flagship ESS Bauer passed in slow review, its brutal seam now overpainted with the Earth emblem. The same weld once called crude now declared a new doctrine. Humanity does not break. It adapts and builds nightmares. The fleet climbed toward the black, purple, and orange thrusters lighting the red Martian sky. On the bridge of the flagship, a pair of worn welding goggles lay on a console, the tool that started it all. The galaxy watched, and for the first time, the Council remained silent. They sold humanity a broken dreadnought. In return, they received a nightmare, and the nightmare never stops building. On the flagship's hull, the seam once called crude had oxidized to a permanent scar, deeper than any paint. Across the fleet, every dreadnought bore its own unique scar. No 2 seams alike, no 2 ships readable. What began as a desperate weld was now a hallmark, the sign of a doctrine that turned scrap into sovereignty. On the shipyard catwalk, Stephen Bauer stood alone, the distant engine lights of the fleet reflecting in his eyes.
They wanted us broken. We gave them something that can never be broken. Something that grows stronger with every enemy we face.
Below the dome, Mars glittered red, and the fleet hung overhead like a constellation of chimeric gods. On the flagship's bridge, the worn goggles still rested on the console, a relic of the first weld, untouched. The galaxy's historians would record the Vex Rollmore as a footnote, a dead museum piece. Humanity's nightmare never entered a museum. It patrolled the black, silent, and ever-building, a permanent warning that humanity fuses what others discard. They sold us a broken dreadnought. We returned to doctrine, and the doctrine will never stop. Stephen Bauer walked the empty shipyard catwalk, the distant hum of the fleet a low heartbeat in the dark.
A single weld. That's where it started. Now every new ship adds another voice to the chorus.
Elena Reyes appeared beside him, tablet in hand as always, but she didn't look at it.
Still chasing ghosts, Bauer? The first seam still keeps you up at night.
Number. It's the seam that won't let the galaxy sleep.
They stood in the shadow of the flagship, its emblem, now an icon of the new order. Across the black, the museum Vex Rollmore sat in its glass coffin, a relic of wasted arrogance. The living dreadnoughts prowled, their hybrid engines a mix of purple and orange, the seam still raw. On the flagship's bridge, the worn goggles still lay on the console, a silent reminder of the price of underestimation. The fleet pushed deeper into the void, and behind it, a species that would never again be called weak.